Hello, and welcome to We Read Allegedly, where we allegedly read books. Today we're going to be talking about a classic that I'm pretty sure is required reading for some people.
Was not for me.
It wasn't for me, but I feel like it was, although I had had several conversations today about the book, and it was not required reading for anyone else. But you should read it! Maybe.
It's a we read allegedly required reading.
We say you should allegedly read it. But before we get into that, first thing, you will notice that we are missing our male voice.
We are indeed.
And we are very sad to be missing our male voice because he kind of brings some balance and humor to the conversation instead of just rants, which is what you and I do.
Who will like things if he's not here?
Yeah, who's going to be the person who's like, yes, this was really good? Because that's not you or I.
Yeah. Oh, well.
Time. Anyway, but our friend John is in college again, and he did his first week of college and went, I'm not going to be able to read books. And so he may...
Unless... Stay tuned for the textbook edition of We Read Allegedly.
I'm not reading the books that he's reading. I'm having to read my own books because I'm in school. But my classes are...
My school requires no reading. So.
Your school is nothing but reading. It's just hands instead of books.
That's true. It does require mental processing of language, yes. But it does not require reading.
So, but he might be able to join back with us when he's on breaks or when he gets a good handle on how to do things. Although, I don't know, he's already had to write like 3 papers, so probably not.
When will we get a good handle on how to do things? That's what I'm wondering.
I'm still waiting to feel like an adult. So
yeah. That's
another discussion.
Well, you know where you don't have to feel like an adult? Reading a book.
That's also true. So, but we wanted to explain his absence. And
what if we had just like from this point forward acted as if he had never been on the show?
That would be sad.
But we just like never
referenced him ever
Everyone
again.
Was like, well, what about John? And we're like, John who? We're like, John was never on this show. What?
No, he's on all the other Geek Devotions podcasts because those don't require him to read books. It really is the book reading.
Time commitment.
Time commitment, yeah. So now that we've gotten that out of the way, Squid, what have you been reading?
I have allegedly just finished the biggest book that I've read this year. I realize we're early in the year, but I'm in the midst of I guess it's not technically 40 books. It's 36 books that I'm attempting to read this year. 3 for each month. And my book for February, it's currently May as we're recording this, even though you won't hear this episode until...
It's not May.
Later. I mean March.
I was like, ma'am, no ma'am, I need the rest of March and April.
Me too. It's currently March when we're recording this. This was my February book, and it took me until halfway through March to finish it, because I've been reading the Iliad.
Oh.
I don't remember if I mentioned this last time we recorded, because I might have just started it. Or mentioned that I was about to. I don't
remember.
But yes, I finally got through it. It is long. It's almost 600 pages.
I'm impressed that you read that, because that one's one of those that I'm like, that's the language alone. I love Greek mythology, but
it was very much for me like going home. Like a lot of, I know that sounds weird. A lot of Greek literature is what originally got me reading and interested in reading. Okay. So I love a lot of it is very, poetic. All the epics are very like lyrical in form. And for whatever reason, that just resonated a lot better with me when I was learning to read and starting to read more. So
that tracks on.
I had never done the Iliad. I'm doing the Odyssey soon.
You have to catch up,
but it was very good. Catch up on old history.
On March's reads.
Yes. I'm almost caught up. I'm in the midst of my March personal read right now, but that should be done soon. So we're cruising right along. It was very good. I suggest it. I wouldn't say highly suggest it because I do think you have to actually be interested in Greek literature to want to read the Iliad. It is long and a lot of names from what I understand. If you want to read one of the two, you should read the Odyssey, not the Iliad. But I'll report back when I actually read the Odyssey. And I'll let you know.
Tell us what you think.
Yep.
So
that's allegedly what I read.
Okay, well, I allegedly have finished an entire series via audiobook because I am one of those people that I can listen to an audiobook while I do things. That's how I get through most of my books at the current day. Because I can read really fast, generally, if it's fiction, but I can't do anything else when I have a book. So,
yeah, that is a problem.
It gets in the way. I got really good at walking behind my mom in the grocery store with a book. Like,
I can do that, but walking also accomplishes very little of most adult tasks.
Yeah.
So
yeah, it's not like even in the top 10 of things to do in the day. It's part.
Unfortunately, it should be maybe, but
it's part of the stuffs that I do. But anyway, so I just finished the entire 4 or 5 book series of The Uglies by Scott Westerfield. And as we all know, Celeste loves dystopian fiction. And this is some grade A dystopian fiction. I wish I had known about this series when I was younger, when it originally came out. Because the first one, Uglies, which I think is what I was talking about the last time that I was on here.
Yeah, I think you were in the first book.
Came out in 2005.
Yes.
So
that's almost 20 years.
Yeah. It's taken me 19 years, and then I listened to all 4 books, Uglies, Pretties, Specials, and Extras, within a few months. So they're really short reads.
Yeah.
And
I have definitely seen them on shelves.
They are not, I've not seen them on shelves, so you're doing better than me. They're not, they explore some interesting ideas and concepts through a fictional format, but at the same time, they don't take a lot of effort to read.
That's kind of how I felt with The Giver too, where it's
Yeah.
this is although I wish The Giver had maybe gone in a little bit more, but
yes. But it's not, they have great things to make you think, because the society is based on beauty, and then come to find out everybody's an idiot on purpose. Almost everybody. And so it's about that, but it brings up some interesting conversations, especially trying to figure out how to say this without giving things away, because I feel like you're going to really enjoy it when you read it. Kind of like you enjoyed Cinder.
Yeah, I did enjoy Cinder.
You enjoyed the Cinder series, the Lunar Chronicles. Mm-hmm. It's very similar to that in how it feels, because it's a quick, easy read, but it's delving into all these other subjects that you're going to be thinking about. But there's, in one of the books, there is a discussion of nope, I can't say this without spoiling. So
fair. Well, listeners, go read the book.
You'll know when you go to read it, Squid, you'll know what I'm talking about. You'll be like, that's what you were trying to say. Mm-hmm.
Ah, yes.
So, the 4th book that I just finished 2 days ago, it was set 5 years after the 3rd book, and it followed a different character. So that was very interesting, because it went from being what I would assume is somewhere in America-ish, just based on the word choices.
Mm-hmm.
They didn't say loo, they said toilet, that type of thing. To somewhere in Asia.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah. So I wasn't exactly prepared for that, but I was there for it. So very good series.
I support that. I have added it to my list because both you recommended it And then I mentioned it to Karen, and she said, you probably would like it because you and Karen are the same person. Hello, Karen.
Hi, Karen. Karen is a friend.
To get it out of the way, hi, Mom.
Hi, Squids Mom!
Just got to get them both out of the way now.
Yes, they're both part of things now.
Welcome.
I'm going to say hi to myself because Karen and I are the same. For reference, Karen is a friend of Squids because I know that her name can be taken.
Yes, back. Karen is a real person.
Karen is a real person, and she's nice. I haven't met her. We might be the same person.
Stereotype. Yes. Allegedly, she may show up at an episode.
Maybe.
On an episode. At an episode. She may show up at some point. Who knows? She might invited or not. Who knows?
Randomly pop in.
Y'all might just pop in. I don't know.
Just all of a sudden the screen pops in. She goes, y'all are talking about books?
If it's a book about dragons, she might.
I mean, we really are the same person.
We really are. Yep.
Okay, so,
let's get into our book.
Yay! Okay, so we allegedly read The Watership Downs, which was, why was a book about rabbits making me cry? But anyway, this is the description of the book. Set in England's Downs, a once idyllic rural landscape, is this stirring tale of adventure, courage, and survival follows a band of very special creatures on their flight from the intrusion of man and the certain destruction of their home. Led by a stout-hearted pair of friends, their journey forth from their native Sandalford Warren through the harrowing trials posed by predators and adversaries to a mysterious promised land and a more perfect society. So, did your book have the note from the author in it?
I don't remember. What did the note from the author entail?
It talked about how he didn't want to write this book. He wasn't going to write books, but he would tell stories to his children. And he would...
C.S. Lewis kind of thing.
Yeah. Or Tolkien.
Wasn't Narnia also a children's story that he wrote down?
I have no idea. I've never heard that about Narnia. I've only heard that about Tolkien.
Oh. Well, I do also conflate the two as they are best friends.
And apparently showed up to a party in polar bear suits?
Sure did.
Which honestly tracks. So, but he would make up stories for the girls on road trips. And so he was reading them a book and he goes, "Ugh, this is rubbish. I could make better than this." And they go, "Yeah, Dad, you can." And
this does sound familiar.
They've been like hassling him to make it happen.
I will say that it is a thought that often gives me encouragement.
The fact that you could write a better children's book than most people?
That I could just write a better book than some people. It's a conversation that's happened several times where like a song, well, not a song, I can't do music, but TV show, a movie, a book, and it'll just be like, that got published. Someone heard that pitch, funded that pitch, and brought it to completion, and now it's published. I don't have to be so hard on my works.
This is the rare times that I'm like, yeah, I could write something. I could make my brain sit down long enough on one story arc to like flesh something out. And then I go, no, you can't.
Well, the commitment to finishing it is a different thing. It's just the mental block of being like, no one will want to read it. Someone will. Someone will love it. Someone, like me, will hate it on a podcast, but don't listen to them. We don't have things we're saying.
You.
You do you. Someone wants to read that book. Anyway, bunnies.
Bunnies! Did you know that okay, so this really does relate. There is a movie?
Yes.
They made
the animated movie?
Animated movie in the 70s.
I have seen clips of that movie. That is the only experience ever. And then because I listened to the audiobook, which is not a commonality for me, but
the audiobook
you will find that
so good.
Many of the podcast reads have ended up audiobooks for me in these coming months because they've just been available on Libby before the physical copies were. So I just went, all right. So in listening to the audiobook, there's a lot of names where I'm like, how do you spell that? So I would go Google it and the little Watership Down wiki would pop up and they would have pictures from the movie and I'd be like, that's a wild looking bunny. That is crazy.
It was the 70s, man.
It was the 70s. I had to figure out like the sun because they called the sun something.
Oh, what did they call it?
Everything sounds. I love like the tractor being like
the ururu,
because that's the sound the tractor makes.
Yeah.
Naming conventions are beautiful.
Made sense.
But like anytime it was talking about like, because the bunnies have their own religion.
Yes.
Which is connected to the sun. And then they have mythology about it where like this bunny would talk to the sun, the prince something.
Oh, you're talking about Ferrera?
Yes.
Like the chocolate?
Ferrera. Yes. Ferrero Rocher.
That's not how they said it, but that is what I thought of.
Yes. I cannot recreate it because just the most lovely British accent in this audiobook that I cannot duplicate.
So who narrated yours? Was it I can't think of his name. Peter something. Hang on.
Capaldi.
Capaldi.
Peter Capaldi.
Yes. He's a doctor.
Yep.
Was it Peter
He
Capaldi?
is a doctor. He's not a doctor. He is the doctor.
Not right now.
One is always the doctor.
That's fair.
Because time. But I just don't want to give people the wrong impression. If they're in a medical emergency, please don't go to Peter Capaldi.
He will yell in a lovely Scottish accent.
That'd be great.
To get a real MD.
Yes. Wonderful. Wonderful voice. Wonderful narration. Cannot recreate any of the names he said because my voice doesn't sound like his. So apologize as we stumble through every bunny term that is in this book.
I think that the Roo is the only one that like I can remember how to say it. Because again, it fits.
Yes. I remember Ephrafa. That's just because I wrote it down. And I don't know, maybe I should probably pull up the wiki now because I'm going to have thoughts about some of these bunnies.
I remember Ephrafa because it was traumatic. I want to say... No, I didn't listen to the audiobook the first time.
I want to say, did you also look at the cast for the TV series?
There's
also a TV... Yes.
So the only reason I know that there is a movie is because Friday's Devotion, as of the recording of this, was based off Watership Downs.
Wonderful.
So I had to find clips for Dallas. Because the last time I did a book, he was like, I could find nothing. I need you to find me images. And I was like, apparently there's a movie. I can do you one better. Let me get clips. And then I was like, oh my God, there's so much blood. I'm not sure we can
blow your
use
mind
this.
right now, Celeste.
Yes, ma'am.
There's the 70s film.
Okay.
There was a TV series in like 99. And then there was a mini series that came out more recently. So just hold on to your britches while I name some of the people that are in the most, I think it's 2018.
Okay.
The most recent miniseries came out. James McAvoy is in it.
Oh.
Nicholas Hoult, John Boyega, Ben Kingsley, Peter Capaldi does a voice, Olivia Colman, Gemma Arterton. Let's go down this list a little
I know
more.
Olivia
Craig
Colman.
Parkinson, Rosamund Pike is in it. Gemma Chan, Adewale, whose last name I'm not going to try and pronounce, but wonderful man. Anyway, Goodman. There's the cast in this miniseries is wild.
Apparently.
Anyway, I forget what my comment was going to be now.
I kind of need us to just move into spoilers.
Oh, yeah. If you haven't read this book, like me, who hadn't read this book, it's been out for a while, so we're about to spoil some things.
Yeah, it's a very sad book about bunnies.
It is. Now, listen, I went into this book with my only context being like, this is a sad book about bunnies, because that's what everyone says. This book was not nearly as sad as I was expecting.
Well, your standard for sad books is so much higher than the rest of the world's, okay?
I went into this waiting for them to die.
They did.
Who?
Hazelrod did.
Like the very end, maybe?
Yeah. Well, and then everyone thought Fiverr died.
But didn't.
I mean, didn't say that it stayed sad.
Hold on now. Apparently he's still alive in the TV series.
Hazel?
Yes.
Hmm.
Also, Hazel doesn't die until, like, long into the future.
I mean, okay, so
El Herrera is their god thing. Their little spirit bunny.
He is their mythology.
Yes. That's where this started. The sun.
The sun! What did they call the sun? I don't remember.
Hold on, let me look, because the El Herrera will talk about it. Firth. Lord Frith.
Lord Frith, that's it.
Lord Frith is the sun. So the sun is what they consider to be God. And then
what you
El
mean
Herrera
for rabbits tracks.
Yeah. El Herrera is like their folklore mythology being that would be like, he was the first bunny and he talked to the sun and made deals and was kind of a little trickster boy.
Like all rabbits.
Like all rabbits.
So I assume that when Hazelrod dies, it's not that far in the future, because I know the average lifespan of a bunny.
Well, fair, but it does also say a tired old Hazel in his little biography on the website.
Oh, that's true.
It's not until like the end of the book that they're like, and here's the end of their stories, and gives like a whole epilogue of how they all die and marry and stuff. So I was like, no one died in this fight? What?
It's so sad though.
I was waiting for Big Rig to die.
Big Wig?
I really thought he was going to die. That was the moment where I was like, I'm not ready. I'm not ready for Big Wig to die. Don't do it. Don't do it. And then he was fine. And I was like, I was promised dead bunnies.
Well, read Redwall. I'm pretty sure that some animals die in that.
I do believe some animals die in Redwall.
To be fair, when I first read Watership Downs, I read it right after Redwall because I thought it was going to be the same.
This would be like a happy story after that, I imagine. This is just a charming little tale about bunnies that move. They're just on a little adventure.
Well, that is something that Robert, what's his name? The author, stated about the book, is that he did not make animals do anything animals would not naturally do. And so animals don't naturally have sword fights or, abbeys or, it's been so long since I've read Redwall that I can't remember.
I have not read it, but I feel like I'm going to like it, as I've been told by multiple people that it's my kind of book.
It's the best that I can remember it. It is like Robin Hood with animals.
But more kind of just like Tale of Despero? Isn't that kind of like Robin Hood?
I haven't seen that. Or read it, so I don't know. I was
about to say, I haven't seen that on a book podcast.
Haven't read it either.
I know he's a brave little mouse. Yes, that's about all I know about him.
So it's I'm trying to think of a good... Have you read the Wheel of Time series?
Nope.
Okay. You don't read a lot of fantasy?
Nope.
Okay, so I'm not going to find one that you're going to know.
Probably not. Good luck.
It's very much a epic fantasy, but instead of humans, there are animals.
That's fair. Yep. I just love watching animals be sad. My favorite thing.
The thing that you were promised, though, that you said you were promised, though, that's funny. I was promised dead bunnies.
Because I really did. Like, everyone talks about Watership Downs as being, like, very sad.
Well, and the thing is that for a lot of people, this is one of their, like, they read it as a child. Because this is portrayed as a children's book. So this is their introduction to, like, being so emotionally attached to a character.
And maybe it's also just like a lot of people haven't revisited it.
Yeah.
Because I'm getting my first experience now. And I was like, I mean, there were parts in it where I was like concerned that the bunnies would die.
I legitimately, because I couldn't remember if Fiverr died or not. And I love Fiverr.
Fiverr's so precious. Such a precious little bunny.
I told Alice I want a bunny. And he goes, "You're allergic." And I go, "I don't care."
Bunnies are so dirty.
They are.
They're just so dirty. They are.
I
do like the way that this book, like, categorizes things as if, like, because he writes from the perspective of the bunnies. So making, like, very big human concepts make sense to bunnies is so fascinating to me. I think he did it so well.
Like the bunnies talking about the white sticks that stink.
Yep. Or even just like Fiverr, because they assume Fiverr has like magic and has like premonitions and can see things, which might be him introducing some kind of magic system, because the TV shows and movies apparently get a little woo about that. But it could also just be like the bunny that notices danger.
Yeah.
Because it talked about like he would freeze, and bunnies do that. They just...
Yeah. I mean, bunnies have animals. Animals have a sixth sense when it comes to danger. God has put that into them. Because if not...
they don't die.
Yes. So that they have a chance to like not go extinct. And I think that Fiverr was just more sensitive than the rest of them, but the rabbits themselves were so superstitious that
they were which is such a fun little thing to add in. Like, if you're gonna embody the bunnies, don't just be like, here you go. Just give them lore, which we love. But it makes me think of like service dogs that detect seizures and things like that ahead of time. And you're like, I don't know how they do it, but animals, wild.
I could go off on that just as a whole tangent, because I do understand how that works. But
all of it?
Not all of it. No, not all the science. But because I'm a bit of a science nerd, I like to research things, so I know what Google can tell me.
Fair. It's like I just heard about someone who has narcolepsy that has a dog that will detect ahead of time that they're about to fall asleep. It's wild.
Okay, so this is the rant. It has to do with... You were purposely prodding the rant.
Yeah. Give me that science.
It has to do with the hormones and the pheromones that your body produces as you're doing things. So there are dogs who can sense when someone's blood sugar is going low. And it's because your body takes on a certain scent when things like that happen. We can't sense it. We don't smell it.
A little.
That is not what BO is. But that's just called you need deodorant. But
my dog told me.
My dog told me you stink. So, but it's once they train the dogs to sense it, they're good. The way they train seizure dogs is you send clothing that you wore when you had a massive seizure to the facility that trains these dogs and trains them to react to the scent. And then
so cool.
And then you go and get your dog. I have a friend who has a seizure dog. That's why I know this. This wasn't Google. This was how did they know? They're like, oh, well, this is the process. And so then they explained all of it to me. And then that led me down my nice little hyperfixation rabbit trail.
It's just so amazing. Animals are so smart. Even when we think of them as not smart. They're
I did
wildly intelligent.
so much with them. I was just thinking, because I am tired today, and so my attention is woo everywhere. And so I was like, man, squids and octopi are just so dang sentient.
Very.
So intelligent.
It really makes you, I feel like this is a conversation John Michael and I have had a lot, where we're like, there are certain animals that we don't think of as sentient as they are. And we probably should. Like, especially like octopi, certain cephalopods like that.
Like,
can definitely feel emotions of some variety.
When they can escape their tank, go get a fish across the hallway, real story.
Mm-hmm.
Steal the fish and get back to their tank because they've learned the guard's rotation? Like,
wild.
So,
we like to think we're the smartest things on the planet.
We just
have dominion over the planet. God didn't say we were the smartest. God just said we were in charge.
He didn't say you were the smartest. He just went, here, take care of things.
Yes, exactly. It is entirely possible that octopi could be smarter than all of us, just because they ain't doing calculations. Well, they kind of are, I suppose.
It's possible that apes are smarter than us. And one day Charlton Heston's going to find the world.
Well, we were talking about ants and insect intelligence, because they're so tiny. Like, if they had a brain the size of a human brain, they would probably be vastly more developed than us.
I don't want to think about that, because
no, I don't either. That's some Honey, I Shrunk the Kids stuff.
Yeah, I was traumatized in the 90s. Thank you. I'm good.
But it's just amazing what they can accomplish just by the simple systems they do have at their disposal.
Yeah.
That if they had the ability to grasp more, it would be wild what they could do. This has nothing to do with the book. Thank you for coming on our little science adventure about the animal kingdom.
Yes, because this is called Celeste has no attention span right now.
We don't have John here to be like, hey, what are you guys doing?
This is going to need to be edited out, guys. Because
I'm leaving it in.
We still went on these tangents with John here. But
it's true.
He just would humor us and then go, okay, we're going to talk about the book?
We might talk about this book again. I don't know. Maybe.
So bunnies.
Yes. I feel like I had another point to make, and now because I've gone down that trail, no idea what it was.
I have a point. I really enjoyed the stories, the lore.
Mm-hmm. The little mythology stories they tell.
Yeah, because I enjoy the fact that he put mythology in there. I enjoy the, if you step back, and the analytical side of, okay, this is a good way to kind of flesh these rabbits out to make them seem more human. But they, the stories were actually good.
Yeah.
I was like, this is something that as a kid I would have loved. Having a book of stories about El Rera, which I'm butchering that name.
El Rera. There's a second Rera in there.
We are not Scottish, so we can't get the...
Also, this man made names only bunnies could pronounce, and we are human, so...
Dear Richard Adams, what?
Huh?
Huh?
I don't know what that means. I do think the way, saying they are very human in the way they do that is one of my favorite things about stories like this.
Yeah.
Because I don't read a lot of stories that are, personifying animals usually. But it is such a really... Again, this is a very interesting conversation to have, just following how smart animals are. I do think humans are unique in the way that we will apply meaning to other people's or other creatures' actions, or have the ability to personify them and ascribe ourselves over them in a way, and take that on. So even, he made really cool folklore. The stories they tell in the story half the time are, an adult telling a story to distract children from something scary that's happening. That's something we do. We can be like, oh yeah, that makes sense. the story you're telling is really cool, but I also know why you're telling it. I can connect with that and feel that.
It was
we can just be like,
Yeah. It was just the whole lore thing was fantastic to me.
Yeah.
Because he's literally telling a story within a story.
Which I love. I love a story in a story.
Yes.
And a natural way of doing it. This was a very good example of like showing and not telling, because even though you are making a character tell a story, they are doing it for purpose every time they do it. So it's not just like, and here's a little tangent about our bunny lore.
Yeah. Well, and legitimately there is a second book.
Oh,
I just discovered that, called The Tales of the Watership Downs.
Oh, interesting.
Hang on, let me look at that.
I do really love that they tell stories, because that's also something that is pretty uniquely human in the way we want to share and create and talk about pasts and beliefs. And
so The Tales from Watership Down is a collection of 19 short stories by Richard Adams, who is the author of The Watership Downs. It was published in 1996 as a follow-up. Oh, it contains a number of the short stories about the rabbit mythology.
Oh, nice.
And includes followed by several chapters featuring many of the characters introduced in the earlier book. So basically...
Cute.
Okay, now I need this.
Oh! I was like, well, you found a book you need.
And there's a Lapine, because that's the name of the language. This guy went so Tolkien with it, with like creating the language. And Kaha.
Yes.
I
loved
him.
Kaha's a big bird that shows up, and he's just a lovely man.
Don't you know?
What a lovely guy. Isn't he like a seagull?
I don't know, but I thought of, for some reason, because we were talking about Lapine, and that made me think about the fact that Hazel was like, the bird doesn't understand Lapine.
He's some ocean bird, because I know they're always like, why is he out so far from the ocean?
I think he's a seagull.
Yeah, I was like, he could be a seagull. He could be a pelican, a heron. I don't know. I know he's a big bird.
Stink enough to be a pelican.
Maybe. You don't know. Did you smell him, Celeste?
They didn't say he stank like fish. Because a pelican will keep a fish in its gullet for like...
blah.
Far longer. I honestly wonder if they keep some water in there to keep them a little fresher, so they can eat them for years later. The pelican's the state bird of Louisiana. I might have had to have done a report on it at some point.
Fair.
So
yes. Kaha, what a guy.
But the voice that Peter Capaldi did, don't you know?
It was so perfect.
We got to get the murders. And I'm like, the what?
What are you getting? Huh?
What?
And like the little mouse that comes.
Yes, it was so
all of those where it's like they don't speak the same language, but through like the common speech, they can roughly communicate. Very cute, very lovely. A+ world building,
but did it in a way that made you go, "Oh, this is so cute."
Not sad enough, Richard. Give me some more sadness.
Well, your next book is plenty sad, ma'am.
Oh, yeah. Tune in next month. It is pretty sad. I forgot.
So you get your sadness.
I just finished my next read, and I was like, that wasn't sad. What are you talking about? But we haven't talked about this one yet, so tune in next month.
Don't talk about Bruno. Anyway.
No. Do you have any spiritual takeaways, Celeste?
I did indeed have a spiritual takeaway. And if you want to hear it more fleshed out, check out the episode of Geek Devotions from
That's called
March.
Efficiency.
But I will sum it up here. There is a story in 2 Samuel, and it's a 2 sentences where it mentions a man named Shammah. Shammah was one of the top 3 of David's mighty men. And the little thing it says about Shama as his, like, you know him, you've heard of him thing is that there was a war in Israel and David told Shama, hey, go protect that field of lentils. And so Shama took a group of men and went to fight the Philistines to protect this field, and everybody else left. And Shama stayed and beat the Philistines. And so the correlation to this book would be when Bigwig tells Jerkface, whose name I can't remember.
Yes. The big guy.
The general. That his head rabbit told him to stay and defend this warren. And so that's what he's going to do. Because it just connected to me. Like, I was listening to it and I went, oh, Shama, got it.
General Woundwort.
Woundwort. So, which he was bizarre, but anyway.
Yes, he was. I will submit that is the most gruesome part of the movie is Woundwort dying.
I don't know how the movie handled it, but the part, because I'm bouncing all over the place, and I apologize to our listeners. I try to normally be a little bit more focused than this. But the part of the book where they went to the first warren, where they're like, everybody eats so much, and they carry their food, which rabbits do not do. Like, and you realize that they're just in a glorified cage.
Yep. I'm trying to find this picture now, and it's not coming up.
Oh,
it's
I have
a wild picture
clip that we put into the devotion of. I say we put it into the devotion. I got it for Dallas to put into the devotion. I don't know if he did, because that was kind of a here's a clip. Cool, have fun. But just him attacking, like snapping the neck of a rabbit. I'm like I know that's how you kill a rabbit, but how does that rabbit know that's how you kill a rabbit?
It's wild. A wild part. A scary man.
Who is in a bunny suit.
In a bunny suit, indeed. Mine was connected to the time in which yours is talking about. Not David's time, but General Woundwort.
That part in the book.
Yes, at the Ephrata Warren. I will apologize in advance because I wrote this note down in my phone, and when I came back to it later to be like, I should brush up for this podcast recording, I realized that there are so many typos that I'm not entirely sure what I meant. So we're making it up. But I generally, like, during that part, because they travel from really far away where they were like, their warren was pretty free and happy, and they had to move because bad things happened.
Bad things were coming, and nobody believed them.
Bad things were coming. And they make it to the Ephrata Warren where they're all underground, and they have like this rigid schedule.
Yes.
Of like when bunnies can go out into the sun, and when they can do like this and eat certain things and do certain tasks and like all of this stuff. But when they talk to some of the bunnies, they're like, well, why would we want to go do that? Like, we're okay. Everything's okay. Life is fine here. Until they start to kind of get an idea of what the reality is and what truth is. So there's definitely a part where they talk about how the bunnies themselves didn't understand like how fun it was to play in the dirt because they'd never played in the dirt. So they don't know how. They're just like, they don't understand the things you could do. Like, you could do all this stuff. And then there's also mention of like how they kind of, I think it's one of the female bunnies that talks about like always having a desire for it, but never knowing how to put it into words.
Yeah.
So I kind of connected that to how like oftentimes, even for people that are non-Christians, we have this awareness of something lacking or a lack of like meaning that we don't quite understand. And I think most people are pretty aware. Most of all humans are looking for something to fill something in their life, whether that be job, money, person, so on and so forth. And we just don't have words for it until we are faced with the reality and truth of what actually fulfills our needs and how nice it is to, quote unquote, play in the dirt. or have a wonderful relationship with Jesus, which is so much better than playing in dirt. Like, that's what I thought of during the Warren.
Yeah, that's a good one. Because we were created to worship God. And so as a result, we have we fulfill the call to worship something if we don't choose to worship God.
Which ends up feeling pretty empty.
Yeah. Because
most of the time.
It's nothing can compare.
Yes. Which makes me think of the creative act when we talked about it, where we were also created in his image, so we will create.
Yeah.
So even these pretty, what I think is a blatant non-Christian man, very secular individual, again, could be wrong, very sorry, Rick Rubin, if you aren't. He was the music producer that wrote the book. Or like you read the book and you're like, this is a man that just understands that as a human being, you need to create no matter what form of creation it is.
Yeah.
And may not understand why. And maybe will feel more fulfilled if they did. Again, I don't know your life. I don't know how you feel, sir. I don't think you're listening to this podcast, so it's okay.
So it's okay. We're not assuming what you know or feel or do.
Yes. Just that humans need to create and we need to worship. And it's a whole lot easier when we create and worship for and to God.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. Okay, well, I think we are done talking about the book. Check us out on all the stuffs. I've updated
more bunny death next time.
Well, just more death.
Well,
so for our 2-year anniversary, we're talking about death.
Hey,
yay!
We've been alive for 2 years now. Death.
Oh no! Oh no! So okay. Go and check out the Geek Devotions website. I've updated it with all of the We Read Allegedly stuff, so it's all there. If you don't want to scroll through your podcast catcher, that's a thing. Do that.
Check us out.
Okay, well, until next time, so long and thanks for all the fish.
Bye.
Bye.
We Read Allegedly is part of the Devoted Geeks Network, devoted to letting you know that you're loved. We release episodes every first Saturday of the month, wherever you listen to podcasts. If you like what you listen to, please like, rate, and subscribe. We'd love to hear from you. Next month, we'll be reading Extremely Loud and Incredibly Close, so you can tune in for the May episode of We Read Allegedly. We'll see you then. Read was, and I was like, I guess I won't go to the bathroom because I won't get up for playing this game.
Oh no, my brain's going.
That's okay.
Please hold while we take a urination break.